All right, hello and welcome everyone to the Season 11 Simulation Football Award Show. I'm here, Time Consumer, as well as Jiggly.
Back in the closet.
Jiggly's back in the closet. And we are going to bring you this is probably what, the third award show we've done together? Something like that? Fourth?
I think so.
Something like that. So, Season 11 awards. Going to be a good time. You know, the same usual ones that we've always had up here. Of course, we do have the wonderful presentation made by everyone's favorite Colorado GM, Infinite NPG. So thank you in advance for that. We're going to be keeping an eye on the Twitch chat. So if you
That's my job.
that is Jiggly's job. So if you have anything you want to comment about, you don't
I
agree
was
with a vote.
I was about to mention when you said season 11, it does say season 10, and somebody instantly said season 10.
It what?
The PowerPoint says season 10 instead of
Does it?
season. Yep.
Oh well, life's a bitch. It's season 11.
Whatever. We all know what season it is, okay? We don't need to tell you.
Yeah, you guys will be fine. You know, we ain't perfect over here. Now, y'all want to give us some money, we'll be perfect.
Oh yeah, if we're being paid, we'll definitely do a good job.
There's no money involved, so there's no perfection involved. You take that number, you add a 1, that's the season. Anyways, we're gonna sit here and waffle around a little bit in chat and wait for people to trickle in, watch their Twitch ads, and so on and so forth. You know how that goes. Like I said, you have any you want to argue with some of the votes or some of the awards, you let us know in chat. We'll probably ignore you.
I didn't vote on any of them, so you can yell at me about that. Don't blame me, but you can yell at
I'm okay with that. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a minute. Let me see how many people are in here.
We only got... Okay, we had 9 people, and now it's down to 8.
Oh, someone just decided it wasn't good enough.
How dare.
All right. Oh, and Colby, let's try and say that. Before we start, what is one award category you would like to see added? Are you asking that to me, Colby, or are you asking that to the general public here?
I think you might want to discuss if we're just sitting here waiting for people to come in. I don't know how many people are going to come in. It's late. This
Fuck
one's
'em.
late because we all forgot.
Don't care. So if I was going to add an award, you know, we got all the basics covered, you know, all the different positions, offensive, defensive, and comeback and all that. I would like to see an
A
award
story
for
award.
who got worse. I don't have a clever name for it.
Oh, the Turd Ferguson I take pride in the SHL for the most penalty minutes, but like something that's like, you were horrible this year. You get this award, and it's just a little...
Yeah, so someone's gonna have to come up with a more creative name for it. I'm about 3-4 beers deep here, so my creativity's a little, you know, gone. But
My creativity is shot.
yeah, whoever went from like awesome to terrible, or just pretty good to terrible, anything like that, I'd love to see an award for that. They probably won't. It's not politically correct, but it would be fun.
My idea is whoever had the best storyline for the season, because this isn't just about gaining gaining TPE and that sort of like, and actually playing well. A lot of it is the sort of storytelling aspect of it, the media sort of thing. And I really would like to see some sort of way to reward people who go out of their way to tell a story. So like, kind of the graders decide who was telling the best story throughout that season, and they get an award for it.
So it's like when your dungeon master gives you inspiration for
Yeah,
good role playing.
it's the inspiration point.
Got it. The inspiration award. Sounds fantastic. We're going to go ahead and get started with this show because we're getting
We
off
got back
topic.
up to 9.
So, our starting off, obviously, Season 11 Ultimates Champions, New Orleans second line. Second time they have won the championship. Third time in a row, I'm pretty sure, that they've been to the Ultimates. So 3 trips in a row, won 2 of them. Pretty darn good stuff by the second line. They did lose a lot of pieces this offseason, so we will see
That's
what
what I
happens.
was about to say. I think this might be, with the Otters like had had sort of started like, okay, now they're going to be in the playoffs, but they're not going to be winning yet. I think they're going to drop down to that level too. Just sort of like this is kind of like they hit the peak. Now they're going to try to not fall down too far and then jump right back up.
We shall see. It's a tough thing to do. I've seen lots of teams try it. So and they're a good team though. All right, moving on. Let's get an award here. We're going to start off with Punter of the Year. I know that's what everyone's really been worried about. Who is the best punter?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes, besides him, though. Turk Turkleton of Baltimore and Dean Jackson of Arizona are our two nominees for Season 11.
This is surprising to me because both of them have a lot of TP, and you don't expect that out of a kicker or a punter.
You have a good point. Now, I will say, though, these two did end up with the highest average punts. Dean Jackson, 49.3, Turk Turkleton, 48.4. Both dropped 14 inside the 20. Dean Jackson, however, did have about almost 18 more punts. So Turk Turkleton did get a larger percentage of his closer to the goal line. So he was able to pin teams back a little bit more just on fewer attempts. So it could go either way with the voters here. Any predictions? I'm going to go with Turkleton.
I'm gonna, yeah. If he was the one who's able to pin down them a lot, it has to go to Turkleton.
Let's see what the voters decided. Nope, we were dead wrong. 11-1 on the votes.
Fun.
11-1, Dean Jackson, the winner. Congratulations to Mr. Jackson. That's a fun face he's got going on there. Why is he wearing a glove? Do you really need that to take the snap? I guess you do.
Well, I mean, holding it, I guess.
Well, taking the snap. I don't know. Sure, we'll go with it. All right, good job, Dean. Moving on. Kicker of the year is next. And with Kicker of the Year, we've got Turk Turkleton again, as well as Beat Me Off of New Orleans, formerly of Philadelphia. Any thoughts here, Jiggly?
I think that Beat Me Off should win everything. So, yeah.
Now, I will say, so Turk Turkleton ended up with the highest extra point percentage this season by a good amount. 98%. I think he missed like one extra point. Beat Me Off did miss quite a few extra points. He missed like 6 of them, but he was really good on field goals, 96% on field goals. But and a lot of those were longs. He hit 2 of 2 at 50, 8 of 9 at 40 to 49. Like he had some good distance on those.
I think that's the important part of being a kicker. I mean, yes,
you mean
it's very hard
as a kicker
to
you need to hit field goals?
Well, yeah, but like it's very hard to look past missing a lot of extra points. But as a kicker, the team is calling on you to hit those long field goals to make sure you get some sort of points. An extra point, that is one extra point. They already got 6 points already. 3 points or nothing. That is a field goal. That is the more important stat, I think.
I'm going to have to go with devil's advocate on here and say that, there's so much noise in that 50-plus bracket. So while he hit his 2 at 50-plus and Turk missed, I mean, those are coin flips. It's just, you got to get lucky to hit those at all. I mean, Turk was 9 of 10 at 40 to 49. Beat Me Off, yeah, sure, he got 8 of 9 there. But other than that, I mean, they were both perfect for less than 20, 20 to 29, 30 to 39. They both missed 1 from 40 to 49. The only real difference was that 50 plus. Those are fucking coin flips. And Turk got the extra points. I say Turk on this one. Let's see what the voters said.
Whatever, man.
I'm just dropping F-bombs like crazy, too. And the voters are with me on this one. Turk Turkleton, 10 votes. Beat Me Off did get 2, though. So more votes than he got.
It was both GMs.
Yeah, that's good. All right. So up next, we have Defensive Back of the Year. Interesting on this one. So we've got 2 new names here. Oscar Ludwig and William H. Harrison. I don't think we've seen these guys up for this award before. I could be wrong. And then, of course, we've got Dermott, who seems like he's up here every damn year.
I remember hearing the name Ludwig a while. I don't remember.
Ludwig, I want to say, was a Season 8, maybe Season 9 draftee to Colorado. He was like the number 3 pick. It was a big deal. Kind of fell off since then. Haven't really, haven't heard a whole lot of him since then.
Was that the draft that I was in and that everyone was horrible?
No. years? No. It was well. It was well after that. Yeah. Okay. Everyone's telling me it
Okay.
is in fact season 9. Um,
I probably was on the draft stream for that too.
Probably. So Ludwig ended up with 6 interceptions, 27 pass deflections, and a touchdown. Most pass deflections. Not the most interceptions, but pretty close. He was right behind. He was equal with Lennox Garnett, right behind Howard Miller, which let's not talk about that. And the touchdowns were great. One touchdown's pretty good. So he had a fantastic season in that terms. William Henry Harrison, first of all, he's old as hell. I'm surprised, like a 150-year-old president, what have you, is out there playing ball.
It's
But he's out
impressive.
there playing ball. Now he played free safety, but really kind of did more of a strong safety thing. This guy got 9 sacks as a safety, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks, and three
I
forced
think that's
fumbles.
yeah, three forced fumbles there.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a playmaker, like just disrupting plays wherever he could. So he wasn't sticking in coverage like Ludwig was, but was really getting a lot of work done. Now, in terms of Dermott, well, I gotta find Dermott first. Like, what did Dermott do? There he is. 26 pass
He
deflections.
would
So number 2 in pass deflections. 4 interceptions, more tackles than Ludwig, but didn't have the interceptions he did. Still had 1 touchdown, so I can kind of see that, I guess.
Ludwig is apparently a 120 TPE inactive.
That'll happen. That will happen.
He also played for the Marshals.
Cool. That's cool, man. I did not know that. Anyways, I gotta say this could go. I gotta go with Harrison on this one.
Yeah, same.
I mean,
Same.
I
He
love
did
those
a lot.
big impact plays. I love a guy who's just kind of going out there getting the work done. But I mean, the big impact plays. I'm partial to him. So let's see what the voters said. And they're right there with us. So this is a pretty split vote. So he obviously did get the majority by a long ways there. William Henry Harrison with 7 votes, Ludwig with 3, and Dermott with 2. I kind of agree with that general split on voting. I could see why you could potentially go for Ludwig. I don't quite see Dermott in the same class as these two, but sometimes Yellowknife got a
Dermott
vote too.
got the legacy vote.
The hometown vote.
N- Brand name.
Yeah, that's all right. We love Dermott. Just kidding.
Heck, Dermott.
Yes, indeed. All right. Good stuff there. Up next, we have Linebacker of the Year. 2 new names. I don't think we've seen these guys really up in this conversation until maybe they would have been last year, but you don't see as much. Now, Alex Selleck is, in fact, a rookie. Now, we have seen him way back when. This is Alex. Don't confuse him with Alexander Selleck, who came back in the Season 1 draft. Alex Selleck is a rookie this year. Did fantastic with Arizona. And Chad Pennington, we've seen him for a little bit, one of the famous ads. Also, great job there with Yellowknife. So, these guys haven't really been too much in the linebacker of the year conversation as opposed to some of the previous guys we had in years past that are starting to retire. So we're getting kind of this young up and coming crowd here.
Yeah, definitely. These are 2 new people. Well, technically speaking, new in terms of Alex Selleck, who, their first player was the 3rd pick overall in the first ever draft.
Yeah, that's true. That was Tomlin's first player, and then he had to go inactive due to some life
Didn't he
issues.
get hit by a car?
Yeah. I was trying to avoid that and just say life issues, but yes, he got hit by a car. Anyways,
I
looking
remember
at
somebody else got hit by a car too.
yeah, that was HFFO got hit by a car. I think it
Oh,
was a bus actually. I think I got hit by a bus. So
the villain of the story. Got it.
yeah. The team he built also got hit by a bus. Anyways,
Yeah.
we are gonna go ahead and look at some stats here. So Alex Selleck, where did he go on my list? Ended up number 2 in tackles in the league with 134, only 10 behind the leader Ishikawa. 3 tackles for a loss, pretty good there. Nothing special. 4 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. This guy forced 6 turnovers. Also got 6 sacks and 7 pass deflections. So, really nice stats there for a linebacker. Love to see that. Chad Pennington had fewer tackles with 108. About the same tackle for a loss. Also 3 forced fumbles. Very good there. 12 sacks. Guy was really good in terms of rushing the passer. Didn't have the 2 interceptions, but still, 20 pass deflections was also very good in coverage. So two really good guys that in here kind of show that they've got a lot of skills to do a lot of different things on the field and aren't just like specialists.
I'm gonna have to go with Selleck, mostly because not just because of the whole like he has that big spread of stats that we were talking about earlier with like you want them to do more, but also I just really like the idea he is up for this award in his rookie year. We have not seen that sort of thing in a
Yes, we
while,
have
I think. Well,
Mason Brown.
yeah, good point. I guess whatever.
But no, I like the turnovers. I like the interceptions. Sacks are flashy. Sacks are important. But I think the tackle amount that he got, as well as the interceptions, gives him the slight edge over Pennington. That's my thought. I wonder what the voters think. And the voters also go with Alex Selleck. So the turnovers and the large amount of tackles give him a slight edge over Chad Pennington with the 6 additional sacks. A couple other variances between the two, but that's the general difference. Still, two fantastic performances by both of these guys. And you can see the vote 7-5, split very close, shows how real close that decision was, and no one else was really even in the conversation. All right. Now we have our defensive lineman of the year. So we've got this one is kind of similar. We've got two very interesting candidates here. Eli Kamaka is a defensive tackle. He is basically a pass rusher that rushes from the interior and collapses the pocket from the center. 13 sacks. Not much in the run game. 1 tackle for a loss. 43 tackles. There you go. He is an interior pass rusher. Brock Weathers had 13 tackles for a loss and 11 sacks, as well as a safety and a forced fumble as a defensive end. So, Brock Weathers was not as specialized of a pass rusher like Kamaka is. Was very good at stopping the run and still pretty darn good at rushing the passer as well off of the edge. So a little bit different styles there. I got to give the edge to Brock Weathers. That's a fantastic performance.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm just thinking like it's very much since it's two different styles, it's definitely about which style do the voters prefer.
Well, we're talking about a difference. If you look at the sacks, voters love sacks. We're talking about a difference of 2 sacks between the two. And we're talking about a difference of like 12 tackles for a loss. So, are 2 sacks worth 12 tackles for a loss? I'd say the tackles for a loss are worth more. So that's why I give the edge to Brock Weathers, personally. Let's see what the voters think. Okay, it looks like our voters agree here. Brock Weathers, with his 10 votes, Eli Kamaka got 2. Still great performances by both of these guys. I will say, in the era that we are in now, where it's not as pass heavy as it was in season 5, season 6, 13 sacks, 11 sacks, what have you. Once you get into double digits, that's really good. The days of 20 some odd sacks are long gone. So both these guys had really good performances when it comes to rushing the passer, as well as stopping the run and getting some big impact plays. So good job by both of these guys. All right, now we are on to some offense. So we have
Skill position.
Do what now?
Skill position.
You sounded like someone different.
That's because I was yawning.
Ah, got it. So we have a couple very familiar names here. Paul DeMirio. I didn't even know he was still playing. This guy's been since season 2, season 3.
He is still kicking it. He is a season 2 player, I believe.
Yeah, so Paul DeMirio's still out there. Had 800 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns this season. Meanwhile, we have Versilo Alto, who we've also been seeing up here a lot. Definitely one of the top tight ends in the league and has been doing very well ever since he was drafted in the first round a few seasons back. 790 yards and 5 touchdowns. So the difference between the two, 13 yards and How many touchdowns did I say? And 2 touchdowns. Very close between these two. Now, and the volume is the same. I mean, they have very similar volume. We're talking about a difference between 3 receptions. So Demirio got a couple more yards. Lauto got a couple more receptions. Both were on very good offenses. So it's tough. The touchdowns kind of give the edge to Alto there. I mean, 2 touchdowns versus 13 yards. What would you rather
Uh,
have, right?
I'm gonna say that from what I've been saying about receiving for when I'm talking about my own player, I'm gonna stick to it and talk about it with other players where Demirio had the production. He not only had more yards, but he had higher production with that 10 point whatever the hell it was. It's 10 point whatever
You mean the efficiency,
yards
the
per catch.
average?
Yes, the efficiency, that production, he
10.2
has that.
versus
So
9.6.
yes, so it may not be that negligible of a difference between the two, but I say this award goes to Paul Demirio. I don't know when he's going to retire, but we're going to name this award after him. We have to at this point.
You might be right on that one. Now, one more thing. So, yeah, I will give you the efficiency is there. It's not much, but it's there because not much. The differences otherwise aren't much anyway. Lauto was a better blocker. 26 pancakes, 0 sacks allowed, and Demirio, 13 pancakes, both with 0 sacks allowed, but double the pancakes. And everyone knows you always want more pancakes.
That is a different thing, and I don't know if the voters even looked at that.
Probably not.
Because that is something that even I forgot about. Because definitely, a position like a tight end or even a running back, you would like to look at their blocking stats and see how well they help their team without having to catch the ball or run the ball or have the ball in their hand.
Well, everyone knows I never forget the pancakes.
Never forget the pancakes.
Let's see what the voters think. And that's pretty big. 11 to 1 verso Lauto. So while they were very close in the yards and the touchdowns, maybe they did end up looking at the blocking stats. Probably not. My guess is it was the touchdowns that they gave him the edge there.
Huh.
So very good job
Neat.
for Lauto. Am I even saying his name right? How do you say his name?
Walto.
Lauto, Alto.
I
Do
think
you have
I
to
think
have
you're
a hard
pronouncing it
pause in
correctly.
there?
Walto.
Who makes a name like that? Where's that name even from?
I don't know. Sounds Italian.
It's the worst Italian name ever. Why couldn't he, be like Demirio? That's an Italian name.
All of our tight ends are Italian.
I suppose. All right. Wide receiver of the year. Here's the one everyone likes. Everyone likes wide receivers. 2 guys up for nomination. 2 guys with votes. This was a really close race this year. No one was really head and shoulders above the rest. But these 2 were definitely the some of the top 2 here with Trey Willie and Howard Miller. So Howard Miller, 1,437 yards and 9 touchdowns. Trey Willie, 1,365 yards. So we're talking about a difference of, 70 yards between the 2? And 11 touchdowns. So Willie, 70 yards fewer, 2 touchdowns more. We're talking about a difference of 7 receptions. Miller had 7 more receptions. Willie was slightly more efficient, 17.5 yards per catch. Miller, 16.9. So, I mean, these guys are close, neck and neck there. This could go either way, in my opinion.
Somebody just gave some weird explanation about the name, and I don't understand what they said. But let's go. Let's move on. What were you talking about? I was trying to figure out what he said.
That's got to be some fucking copy pasta shit. My point is that these 2 were really close together in stats, and this could have gone either way. In
Yeah,
my
I
opinion.
looked at that, and I need to. I think, yeah, the that efficiency is kind of negligible. Although definitely, Willie has the efficiency, has the touchdowns, but Miller has the yards, and the only reason why Willie has the better efficiency is because he has less receptions. So,
well, not necessarily. I mean, you could argue a few different ways on that one, but I can tell you the touchdowns are usually somewhat related to being on a better offense. Not always, but sometimes. And no one could argue that Baltimore didn't have a good offense, better than Colorado's. Not that Colorado had a bad one, but Baltimore's was better. Um, yeah, I don't know, it could go either way. Miller had a little bit more volume. Willie had a little bit better efficiency. So
I'm gonna go with Miller.
you're gonna go with Miller. I'm thinking it's Miller time. Can that be his new slogan? It's Miller time.
It probably was.
All right. Well, I mean,
Rookie Miller.
he's Australian. I don't think they got Miller down there. They got Foster's.
Rookie Miller. Let's go.
Yeah, there we go. Let's see what we got. And Howard Miller, 11 votes to Trey Willie's 1 vote. That's actually a lot more one-sided than I expected. I'm a little
This has
surprised.
been really surprising. Also, why does he have the new Yeti logo on him already? They haven't even released.
Because the Yeti GM is the one that made the damn presentation.
How dare?
Of course, he's gonna put his brand new logo that he's proud of and excited about on the damn thing.
Looks like the Canadians logo. Anyway, I think Trey Willie got a GM vote there.
Well, I could have seen it go in a couple ways. Like
He deserved to be a part of the conversation. He deserved to be a bigger part of the conversation. But in the end, apparently everyone just liked Miller better.
Possibly. And then, you can dive really deep into these stats and who got the most production based upon their entire team's volume. So you could look at the passing yards for the whole team and how much did this person account for it, as opposed to everyone. I'm not getting into the weeds on that one.
One of the Orange County outer wide receivers should have been up for this, but for some reason our team just did not do well in the start of the season. That really hamstringed everything.
Well, it ain't about us, is it?
It is.
All right, let's see what we got next. I think we got quarterbacks coming up here. No, we got running backs. Oh, this is gonna be a fun one.
Hold on, I got some really interesting information. Apparently, Willie didn't even get the vote from the.
Oh, cool. That's all right, man. Like I said, that vote could have gone either way. Whether or not the voters thought that, in my opinion, and my opinion matters a lot, it could have gone either way. Let's talk about running backs. So, we've got these two guys. I don't know if you know about this, but these two are just absolute best friends. Now,
they love each other.
Marquise Brown and Owen Taylor, they may be on different teams. You may have a young player and an old player, but these two absolutely adore each other, and they're always talking about how the other one is better than them, and it's fantastic to watch, really. It's just
Brown really looks up to Taylor, and Taylor, it's like a little brother to him.
It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside when these two start talking.
It's great.
So let's look at some stats on old Brown and Taylor here. So he's very close numbers again. We're looking at 1,571 yards on 365 carries for Brown. Brown's got the yards. Brown's got the volume. Averaging 4.3 yards per carry. Taylor, on the other hand, a little less volume, 333 attempts, 1,511 yards, so about a difference of 60 yards on 30 fewer attempts, 4.5 yards per carry, 17 touchdowns. So we're looking at a difference of 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, very, very close. I'm going to stall for a second while I try and figure out what their receiving stats are, because everyone knows that, if you're going to be a running back,
everyone knows it,
you got to catch a little bit too.
What their receiving yards are. I mean, I already know that Owen Taylor's is 363 receiving yards, 61 receptions, and 5 touchdowns.
5 touchdowns is a lot, yeah. And so he had a little bit more in receiving yards than Brown did. 80, nothing significant. But
I can't find. I found Brown on the receiving.
Yeah,
okay.
He's right below him. 5 touchdowns versus 2. So if you add that together, we just talked about a difference of 2 touchdowns in rushing, 3 touchdowns in receiving. That's 5 different touchdowns. Again, we're talking about a better offense, so that does factor into it a little bit more. You got a better offense, you're going to score more. That's what happens. Look at the Saints. Well, don't look at the Saints last night. Look at the Saints other times, and that's just kind of how that goes. So a little bit of both. I could see this vote going either way. I know you're tired of hearing me say that, but it's true. What do you think, Jiggly?
I think that it should be beat me off.
Listen, this is a Christian Twitch channel here. We don't need any of that in there.
Excuse me, but I am talking about the great kicker beat me off.
What team does he play for?
I believe he plays for New Orleans.
Okay. Anyways,
I'm gonna go with Owen Taylor.
you know, it's a tough one. I'm gonna have to do that as well. I like the efficiency. I like the slightly better receiving.
He was more productive on both sides of the ball in terms of at least the more.
No, it's only one side of the ball, Jiggly.
I don't
He
know
wasn't on
anymore.
defense.
On both sides of the offensive side.
Sure thing. Let's see what the voters think. Voters are also going with Owen Taylor here, with 11 votes to 1 for Marquise Brown. Very good performance by this. We're going to probably end up naming this damn award after Owen Taylor. Seems like we're giving this to him almost every year.
We're getting to the point where we know who's going to get the awards named after them.
Yep. Very, very good performance there. So glad to see that. And, he's starting to hit regression, get a little older. I think he's season 1 or season 2. So I imagine we're going to start seeing Marquise Brown take a larger share of this one. But there's some other up-and-coming guys. John Canton also did a very good rookie season. I think he had like 1,513 yards, 11 touchdowns. That's damn good for a rookie. So we shall see what happens.
Muford doesn't believe in naming awards after players.
Well, I don't believe in Muford.
He'll be crushed to hear that.
Probably not. Anyways, I know I wouldn't be. Quarterback of the year. This is a fun one. I like this. The difference between these two players. So, Borkus Maximus, he's won this thing a bunch of times. Very good player. Always has good volume. Always has good efficiency. Kevin Fitzpatrick, this might be the first time we've seen him up here for this award. Did not have a ton of volume this season. I don't think he even hit 4,000 yards. But he had some really good efficiency. Wasn't throwing a lot of picks, was hitting a good amount of touchdowns, good completion percentage. Just really a game manager in every sense of the word, really. And that's, to him, that's not an insult. That's what he likes.
That weird girl, Tanya, really likes him. And he's really obsessed with her.
I think Tanya actually liked Maximus the most this season. I could be wrong about that. But, yeah, in terms of...
Well, he really likes her.
In terms of quarterback rating, 92.9, that's really good in this league. I know in the NFL, you get 105 and you might be the second best. In our league, no one really breaks 100. So 92.9 is a fantastic passer rating for Kevin Fitzpatrick. 30 touchdowns, not only 9 interceptions, fewest interceptions in the league. Again, he did not really have the attempts, didn't have the volume, only 3,800 yards. His yards per attempt were very low. Good completion percentage, almost 60%. Maximus, on the other hand, 700 more yards. 4,500 versus 3,800. Still both 30 touchdowns, but Maximus did get 15 interceptions. He had a better yard per attempt, so he was, taking longer shots, and, with that maybe comes some more risks sometimes, a little bit more picks. But, so you've got volume versus efficiency. I could see this go a few ways,
Bork.
You're thinking Mr. Maximus here, you're going with the volume?
Bork.
All right.
And dude.
Timmy's in the bottom of the well?
Bork.
I think I have a feeling that the voters are going to go with Borkus Maximus. Personally, I'd like to see Fitzpatrick win it. I love the efficiency argument sometimes. Volume's great, but I like a little efficiency too. Let's see what we got. And this is a pretty close split, so 8-4. Borkus Maximus is the winner. That's got to be, his third or fourth one of these. He's like, getting Mike Boss levels in terms of collecting trophies on Quarterback of the Year.
I think if we rename trophies, Boss will get Offensive Player of the Year and Borkus will get Quarterback of
the Year. No. Just no. How dare you?
How dare?
Slim wants to know if I love Avon. No, not really. I don't like corners. All right, let's see what we've got for the returner of the year. We've got I haven't really been paying too much attention. Have we always had a award for this?
Uh, I don't know. I think we did.
Oh,
It was special teams player of the year.
I don't know. Returner of the
We
year
had it.
sounds
We
good.
had it like I think we had it like a while ago, and then we got rid of it, and now we're bringing it back.
Very cool. So now I guess we're gonna have to take into consideration both kick
Okay,
returns. What are they saying?
they're saying it's new.
Fancy. So we got kick returns and we've got punt returns to take into consideration here. So let's see what I can dig up here in a couple of seconds. Looks like Valentine was one of the best punt returners. Good average, scored 2 touchdowns on punt returns. Fielded 30 of them for 346 yards. Very good on kick returns as well. 20.7 average. It's middle of the pack, really. 724 yards. Meanwhile, Broxton had the highest kick return yards, 32 of them for 894 yards, 1 touchdown there, and also had the most punt return yards, 500, not yards, well, yeah, actually the most yards and the highest average. 513, returning on average 13.2 with 1 touchdown. So, little bit less on, didn't have as many punt return touchdowns as Valentine, but the same amount of overall returning touchdowns as well as higher averages.
Okay, apparently Dermot said that he's won it. I'm very confused.
Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on, Jiggly. It's here. We've got it. The award exists, and we've just named some
I
stats.
give it to Vinny.
You're going with Vinny. I got to go with the homer vote, Jalen Broxton. I like how he's got the highest averages in both categories and equal touchdowns. And it does, in fact, go to Jalen Broxton with Returner of the Year. 9 votes to 3. I can't argue with it. The man's a good returner. And Slim isn't happy. That's okay.
I'm just confused at what's going on in chat.
Who cares? Ignore the chat. All right,
Well, it's my job to look at the chat.
Breakout player of the year. So we got Vinny Valentine again up here with Baltimore, and Chad Pennington. Now, if we're going to look at Valentine, let's look at his actual receiving stats, because that's really what he is. 849 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns in Season 11. Now, of course, breakout returner really means you kind of, you were nothing and then you became something. So last season, where's Valentine last season? 115 yards, only 11 touchdowns. So yeah, he basically went from nothing to something. He was terrible. Chad Pennington, as we know, he was front runner there for linebacker of the year. Had a really good linebacker season. We talked about his stats a little bit with his 12 sacks, 20 pass deflections, all that stuff. He's been around for a little bit. What did Chad Pennington do last season? Last season he was pretty good, at least in tackles. 121 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. Not much in anything else, though. 4 sacks, 3 pass deflections. So, yeah, I could see this one going either way, really. Personally, this is where I'd actually lean Valentine on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Chad Pennington has been, at the very least, okay. Vinny went from 0 to hero.
Yeah, can't argue with that one. So let's see what the voters think on this. And yeah, there you go. Vinny Valentine with 9 votes. Chad Pennington with 1. 2 people didn't vote. I guess 2 people just thought there was no one worthy of a breakout.
Those 2 votes were actually that award that you were talking about with how someone went from good to bad. That those 2 votes went towards the anti-breakout to.
It's a weird direction you're going in with me, man.
I just want her to be mentioned.
Got it. Yeah, pretty okay. So glad to see Vinny Valentine win himself an award. Going to be exciting to see him as he starts playing a few more seasons, and now that Trey Willie is out of Baltimore, going to have a lot more chances there as well. Does he still play for Baltimore? I think he does.
I don't know.
It's been a wild off season,
It's been a while since I paid attention to this league.
Well, that's lovely. All right, now we've got our Offensive Rookie of the Year. we mentioned briefly Gerard Canton when we were talking about running back of the year. 1,500 rushing yards his first season, 11 touchdowns, really great performance on the ground. Antonio Summer with Yellowknife, also a running back, but was a little bit more of your everyman type player. Did a lot of rushing and a lot of receiving. He had 897 rushing yards, 5 rushing touchdowns, and receiving 796 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. So you're looking at 10 touchdowns to Canton's 11. Pretty equal there. And in terms of, we're looking at all-purpose yards, so 796 and was it 897? I'm not trying to do math. It was like 1,600 something all-purpose yards. Now, it is harder to get yards purely on the ground as opposed to ground and receiving. So I don't want to, weight that too much in his favor that he got more scrimmage yards than Canton just because he got more attempts with receiving. But both really did great jobs. I mean, this is a tough one.
Well, I think that you have to go with the player who was more all around, I guess, especially when it comes to offensive rookie of the year, like as in just completely. I mean, yeah, with running back, we were talking about, well, we were actually talking about it back at tight end, but about how everything goes into that. But I think that you want to get the best overall player that adds to the entirety of the offense. And if Antonio Summer was the person who is both rushing and catching those passes more than Jared Canton was catching passes, then you go with the overall player. That overall helps the offense.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there. Maybe offensive player of the year, but it's not, or maybe offensive rookie of the year, but it's not, there is no running back rookie of the year. It's just what you did. Just because they have different styles doesn't mean one style is necessarily better than the others. They both did their job. The GM in Yellowknife wanted Summer to both run and catch, and he used him as such. In San Jose, they don't need catchers. They've got plenty of pass catchers. They needed a guy who was just going to, pound it in the dirt, and that's what they got. So, let's see what our voters went with. And that might be our closest split that we've had in votes. 7 votes for Antonio Summer, 5 for Gerard Canton. So Antonio Summer is our offensive rookie of the year, but really both guys did a really great job. And it's going to be exciting to watch these guys play for the next few seasons. I mean, we're looking at already these kind of numbers. These guys are like round 1 fantasy material at this point after their rookie year.
And Antonio Summer got traded.
That's right, he did. He's in Baltimore now, isn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah, old man Taylor better watch out. So, it's going to be exciting for him, being in a very good offense. Team that's always been, in the playoffs, deep runs. It'll be interesting to see what he does there. And, San Jose, they could be making a big comeback. It's been a while since we've seen them in the playoffs, but, Canton on the ground could be exciting for them. Up to Defensive Rookie of the Year. We've talked about Alex Selleck already, the linebacker out of Arizona, and what a great year he had with his linebacker of the year as a rookie. Really good performance there. Lennox Garnett out of Philadelphia, the safety. What did he do this year? So, where is he on my list? Jiggly, help, bail me out.
I'm basically just thinking, I don't even have to look at Lennox Garnett's stats. I just have the thought of Alex Selleck already won a positional award, and Lennox Garnett wasn't even considered for his positional award. I'd say that Alex Selleck is the winner in this.
Harsh words, Jiggly. Harsh words.
I don't think he's bad. I just think that Alex Selleck is better.
I found his stats. So he did get 6 interceptions. So tied for second place in receptions. In interceptions, 1 sack, 7 passes deflected, and 1 touchdown, along with 64 tackles. So very good performance there. Again, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm gonna have to go with Selleck on this one. He had such an unreal year for a rookie. Let's see what we got. Yep, that's a landslide for you right there. 11 votes for Alex Selleck, 1 for Lennox Garnett. So, linebacker of the year as well as defensive rookie of the year.
GM vote, yay.
I mean, and we're talking this guy could potentially end up as defensive player of the year as well. Let's not, discount that. He's got some competition with Harrison and Weathers, but that's a possibility. And performance of the year, only one nominee for this one, so that ought to tell you how this is going to go. Vladimir Fyodorovich for the New Orleans second line in the championship game, the Ultimus Bowl, is our only nominee, which means he's the only one that received any votes for this. There you
Yeah,
go.
Kobe just said something about playoffs count. I didn't know that. I didn't know that playoff performances counted in this award. I don't think I'd ever seen a playoff performance in this award before.
Let me ask you a question. If you were going to count any, or if you were going to not count any game, why would you make it the damn championship game?
Because it seems like it's a regular season award.
Come on, this is the most important game of the year, and this guy, in the most important game of the year, had 4 touchdowns. 1 on a punt return, 3 receiving touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Only 5 were scored. I'm sorry, 6 were scored by the second line all game. 4 were by him. I mean, that's just as good as it gets, in my opinion.
Also, the Lennox Garrett vote wasn't a GM vote, apparently.
That'll happen. No worries. People vote differently. That's why we got votes. These things aren't going to be unanimous most of the time, except this one was. So great job by him. This is a guy. He did struggle a lot earlier on in his career. Ended up switching this side to wide receiver, and really had a great year as a wide receiver. Really. So pretty fantastic to see that kind of performance in the biggest game of the year, and really, was probably one of the reasons that they were able to bring home that award. And now we have General Managers of the Year. 3 teams nominated here. We've got Orange County with Speculador and Red Sidranth. We've got Philadelphia, who I guess has 3 guys up there. I guess Adam stepped down, but he was there at one point. Brock Weathers the third and 37th Chamber as well. And then in Colorado, Infinite MPG and Drop Bear. What do you think? This is I think it's kind of a bit of a tough one.
I don't know, because Colorado was one of those teams where it's like they should have been better and they weren't. Like if they had made the playoffs, you'd give them this award, but
they
them
did
not
make the
making
playoffs. Yes, they did.
What?
Colorado definitely made the playoffs.
I thought it was Philadelphia. Okay, I'm very confused.
It was a one-game difference.
I'm in a closet.
We know that. So, they did make the playoffs, and they managed to recover pretty well and do very good for a team that doesn't have a ton of actives right now. And they did a very good job, 8-6, positive point differential for the season, and good, decent little run this season. So I could see that. Philadelphia, on the other hand, is kind of more that most improved. They went from 0-14 to 7-7. Not too bad, not too shabby.
Yeah. That's the sort of thing that I like, the genuine improvement there.
But let's consider with Philadelphia, were they really trying to win any games last season?
Oh no, they were tanking. And I'm just going to mention, we didn't say anything about our own team. So I think that says a lot about what we think of this award. I don't know why they're even up there. I don't know who voted for them. It's not that I don't like them. I love them, but I don't know why.
It's not that I haven't said anything about them. I just haven't gotten to them yet. I started at the bottom, worked my way up. With Orange County, they did end up with a better record than either of these two teams. 10-4, made the playoffs for the 11th straight season, and have pretty much worked themselves out of a small rebuild that they started at like season 9. But it's one of those things where Orange County has always been kind of generally a good team, either average or better. So for them to just kind of keep doing what they've always been doing, I don't think voters are really swayed by that. Does that make sense?
All right.
No, nothing. Okay.
I said all right.
So yeah, that's kind of my thought on that one. It just depends on what the voters think is most important. Is it that you are that you're doing well and getting more wins with a bad roster than most people expect? Is it that you've improved a lot from prior seasons, or is it that you are just still good and you've kind of always been good? That's kind of what I see with these three teams. So let's see what we got. And it goes to Colorado with 7 votes. Behind them, Philadelphia with 3, Orange County with 2. So Drop Bear and Infant MPG are our general managers of the year.
That's a nice new logo.
You like it?
It's one of the very few American flags, like state flags or municipal flags, that looks really good, and I just like.
When I see that, I don't think Yeti. I think Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, Yeti is technically the Bigfoot of the mountains.
Yeah, I get that, but I think Bigfoot, man. Now, of course, it does need to be a little bit blurrier to be Bigfoot. Wouldn't
Well,
you
they
agree?
got the little shading there that kind of looks like a blur.
Bigfoot, he's just blurry. Everyone knows that.
That's not just the picture; he is actually blurry.
Exactly. Mitch Hedberg said it. All right, moving on. Now we are now on to Offensive Player of the Year. Two guys we've already talked about: Owen Taylor, who was our running back of the year; Howard Miller, who was our wide receiver of the year. In both in very close matchups in their respective positions compared to other players. Both won by very large margins on these awards. So I don't know which way to take this one. What do you think? Is it the running back who also catches a decent amount and gets lots of all-purpose yards and touchdowns, or is it the wide receiver who is, killing everyone in yards and volume?
I think that somebody who's able. That's the thing. Like with Owen Taylor, he's able to do both. But with Howard Miller, he's only able to do one of those things, and that means that he's going to have to do a lot to compensate for that. So I'm going to go with Howard Miller.
I mean, to be fair, have you ever tried to stick a wide receiver in at running back in this sim? You're going to get about 1 yard a carry, no matter how fast they are. You just
Fine.
can't. You just can't do it. Let's see what we got. And Owen Taylor, Offensive Player of the Year, 11 votes to 1. So pretty big swing there. He's won a bunch of these, man. He's getting tired of seeing his name up here. It's a good thing he retired, right? Might be the last season we see him up here.
I think they said something about him retiring.
He did
yeah.
retire. Season 12 is going to be his last season. It's been a hell of a career, but come on, man. Time for new people. You got to go. All right. Let's see what we've got coming up next. I think we might be up to Defensive Player of the Year. And 3 names we've already seen. Alex Selleck for Arizona, won Linebacker of the Year. Chad Pennington was runner-up in Linebacker of the Year. And Brock Weathers, who won Defensive Lineman of the Year. I have to say, just given how linebacker went, that Selleck would, I would think, get the edge over this, but we've seen crazy things happen where these two end up being different players. Me personally, I like Brock Weathers here.
I really don't know because I really want to see Alex Selleck sweep. That's the thing to me. I really want to see Alex Selleck sweep.
I can respect that. And Selleck did do a little bit of everything. He was good in turnovers, good at just overall tackles, and very good in pass coverage. What I like about Brock Weathers is that he was good both in rushing the passer and stopping the run. Usually not something you find one player's good at doing both of, and he did both. So that's my thought. But the voters could go either direction. For all we know, the voters could go Chad Pennington in this one. We've seen it happen before.
Yeah, the voters are dumb.
Well, that's just not very nice. Let's see what we got. And There it is. Chad Pennington, Defensive Player of the Year, with 6 votes.
Whoa!
I swear they
Did
do
it!
this. They do this just to mess with us, man.
We did it!
That's fantastic. Defensive Player of the Year, Chad Pennington with 6 votes, Alex Selleck with 3, Brock Weathers with 3. So while Selleck
We
was
saw
not as
this
good of a
coming. We
linebacker
saw
as
this
Chad
coming.
Pennington, Chad Pennington was a better defensive player. I love it. I love it.
We saw this coming.
That's a blast. Fantastic stuff. Good job on you, voters. All right, I think we got MVP up next. No, we don't. We have Most Dedicated Member up next.
Okay.
3 nominees this season. 37th Chamber, who is now one of the GMs of Philadelphia, as well as the guy who's running the Wiki project. Infinite MPG, who is one of the GMs of Colorado, as well as the guy who built this lovely presentation for us here. And Time Consumer, who cares?
Yeah, fuck that guy.
So, I will say, 37th and Time Consumer have both won this award before.
You were winning it, like, consistently early on, next to, like, when Air got banned, you were starting to win it.
Yeah, I won it 3 times in a row. But, and then after that, 37th Chamber won it the next year. And then last year, it was Ols. TO12143776982 ampersand. Last year. Now, Infinite has never won it before. And as we know, these lovely presentations for the award show and the drafts are all put together by him, and he does a fantastic job. I know my dumbass couldn't do this. So, I don't know. All 3 players that do some pretty good stuff for the league. So, it just depends on what the voters value more. I think Infinite MPG should win it personally.
I'm gonna say you should win it.
Yeah, let's see what happens. All right, there you go. That's my 4th. So I win it with season 11. So pretty good, I guess. Good job, me. 7 votes to 37 Chambers. 3,
I demand a recount.
And Infinites 2.
I demand a recount.
Yeah, you can do that. That's fine. Look at that picture, though. That's good stuff.
I like that they actually used your render for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a picture of me floating around somewhere, but I don't think anyone would have.
Oh yeah, I know where it is.
Ah, well, there you go.
I have it saved. It's kept very close to me.
That's disgusting. So, we've got Most Valuable Player, everyone's favorite award here, with Owen Taylor, Howard Miller, and Borkus Maximus. So we've got our Offensive Player of the Year and Running Back of the Year up there. We've got our Wide Receiver of the Year, and we've got our Quarterback of the Year, all 3 offensive players. And I gotta say, this is so tough because while all these guys were great and did great in their respective positions, this year I don't think a single player, offensive, defensive, you name it, really stood out that much above the rest. Everyone was so close together at the top. Every position kind of had its top 2, top 3, and you could make arguments for any of them in those positions. And I think the same thing when you're looking at the performances between them. This is probably the hardest year, I think, when it comes to MVP and who should get it. What do you think?
Let's be honest with ourselves. It's the chaos vote, Borkus Maximus.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking?
Chaos vote.
Why would it be a chaos vote?
He wasn't even nominated for Offensive Player of the Year. It's the chaos.
You're right. I guess he wasn't. And usually it's a running back or a quarterback. That's usually been the case. We've had a wide receiver win once, a few seasons back. Quarterbacks are very common here. We used to have some defensive players way back when, but not that often. Colby says that Maximus
we had
is
an
the
offensive
only.
lineman.
Yeah. Did we? No, that was an MVP.
No, that was outstanding play.
Yeah. Don't mention that award. Anyways, Colby is saying Maximus is the only QB to ever lead the league in passing and rushing. Well,
I'm on quarterback.
That's good.
Which is a very big asterisk.
I don't know.
Qualifier. There we go.
Sure. I don't even know what you're talking about. But it's tough. It's tough. I don't know how we're gonna do this. Let's see what the voters. I'm not even gonna speculate on this one. And we get a wide receiver again. Howard Miller, most valuable player, with 7 votes to Owen Taylor's 4 and Borkus Maximus 1.
Huh.
I'm surprised and not surprised at the same time. I don't know.
Apparently, Miller also played at cornerback.
He did, yes. He did play at corner, but normally in these kind of situations, they don't vote based upon someone's secondary position. They do it based upon their primary position, which is his case, wide receiver. That's not always the case. I don't know what goes through people's heads when they vote, but that's, I think, normally what people do. So, if that's what they got to do, that's what they do. And
Cool.
that might be the end. Yep,
Yes,
I think
that
it
is
is.
the end.
So, wow, just right on an hour. So great stuff there. We've got, is it Monday? Monday is the draft? Question mark.
I think we still have set for Monday.
Yeah, so looks like Monday the 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern should be our time. We're going to be having the NSFL draft. We're going to have DSFL awards a couple days later, somewhere in there. We're going to have the DSFL draft. We got lots of presentations for you next week, so be sure to come back and check us out on this channel next week. Like,
And for those
subscribe, leave a
things,
comment, hit the bell. Is that what I'm supposed to say? I think I'm supposed to say all that stuff.
we there's no bell on.
Shut up, there's a
on
bell,
Twitch.
and they better click it. Anyways,
Anyway, I was gonna mention that for the for the next streams we're going to have Sweetwater. Sweetwater wasn't able to come on to this stream, and with Sweetwater on, it means you won't have to hear my voice as often. Although I will be reading your comments and making fun of you.
Going to be a good time. So everyone, please make sure to join us. It's a huge draft, 6 or 7 rounds, something like that. So check out the draft on Monday. We'll be excited to be here, bring it to you. And thank you for watching. Thank you, Jiggly, for joining me. Thank you, Infinite, for making this presentation. And we will see you guys in a couple of days.